Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Sorry I'm late once again, but here we have another episode of what I watched. This month was November edition. Obviously, this video is coming out quite late, but I still wanted to put the video out because I have watched quite a bit of stuff this year, and let alone in the month of November, I was able to catch up and watch quite a bit of things. So let's get into what I watched in the month of November. First up, I started off with an easy classic, Shrek. Obviously, I absolutely love this film. My girlfriend loves this film. We watch it probably 5 times a year, whether we are just putting it on while we're cooking dinner or just actually watching the film. I love Shrek. Next up, I watched Friday the 13th, the original, yes, the 1980 Friday the 13th, which I do have to say I will be doing short reviews for every single film in the Friday the 13th franchise. Not fully in-depth reviews, just because I don't feel like doing that for films that are so far in the past. I would like to do reviews for more current things and then review older films that I really feel I have something to say about it. But as for Friday the 13th, the original, I have an absolute blast with this film every time that I watched it, and I do think it does get a bit more hate than it deserves. I know it is a ripoff of Halloween, but I think it works. I like the twist, and it is one of my favorite Friday the 13th films, and it's most definitely in the top 3. Not quite sure where it places just yet. Next up is Shrek 2, and I also gotta say, I do really enjoy this Shrek film. I do think that the entire franchise declines as it goes on in quality, but that's, I guess, standard for most franchises, I would say, unfortunately. But I do have a fun time with Shrek 2. I watched it a ton as a kid, so I will always have the rendition of You Need a Hero stuck in my head. Like, I could think about that anywhere, anytime. It's just a song that I remember, and I love Shrek 2. I love the first one, but those are my 2 favorites of the Shrek franchise. After that, I watched Now You See Me for the first time since it probably came out, and this was a fun movie. We found the movies, both of them, Now You See Me and Now You See Me 2, for like $4 at Walmart, so I thought, hey, why not? We're traveling across the country. We need something to watch on our little portable DVD player, and it's a fun time. It's a fun movie. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it in any way, but it's just not necessarily made for me. It's a fun watch, but I don't need to go back and rewatch it over and over again. I think 2 times is probably enough for me, but it was a fun time. Next up, I watched Worm. Yes, W-Y-R-M, Worm, and I highly recommend you go check this film out. It is a indie coming-of-age comedy film where there are intimacy collars and bracelets, so you gotta get laid before you can get, like, your necklace taken off, or essentially you gotta get kissed before you can take your necklace off, and it's essentially a grade from your school. That's all I can say without giving too much away about the film that already is giving quite a bit away, but I really highly recommend this film. Worm is super weird, and if I see this on Blu-ray, I will most definitely purchase this. After that, I watched Shrek the Third, and this is where the franchise takes a dip. I do find some enjoyment overall, but again, yeah, the first 2 films I think are really, really, really good, really fantastic, and that this film is fun at the very best, but a little bit drawn out. But I don't think they were ready to do 3 and 4, and then like the Shrek Ever After, or maybe that was 4. But either way, I don't think they were quite ready. They just pushed it a little bit too quickly. After that, I rewatched Don't Worry Darling. My girlfriend hadn't seen it. I got to see an early screening of the film, and I did not enjoy it, so she decided she didn't want to go see it in theaters, and thank God we didn't go again because she didn't end up liking it. There were parts that we both thought are, very well crafted, but God, this film was a mess as a whole. I mean, there's sequences that are cool, and again, very well technically crafted, but from a story standpoint, from an editing standpoint, I feel like this film had so many missed opportunities and miscalculated ideas. Next up, I watched a classic comedy in my opinion, and that is Dodgeball, a true underdog story. I absolutely love this film. Patches O'Houlihan is hilarious. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Justin Long is fantastic. I mean, who doesn't love Justin Long? He was in Barbarian. That movie's fantastic. But yeah, Dodgeball is a great time. I'm really surprised that I don't own that film, and that is definitely one comedy that I need to own. Next up, I watched The Truman Show for the very first time, and I gotta say, I was kind of let down. I had always known roughly what it was about, so, I kind of knew right away that he was in a TV experiment, and they say that right away in the movie, but I just was expecting something bigger, something more from that ending. Tell me if I'm crazy down in the comments below. Yeah, but Truman Show was not for me. I do feel like it's a little bit dated. The first 30-40 minutes were really, really strong, but the last half was just not it for me. Next up, watched 13 Going on 30. This was just one of those easy watches that we needed something to watch one night, and I gotta say, this is also a really good comedy from, what year was it? Yeah, 2004, which was the same year that Dodgeball was released. So 2004 had some really fun, family-friendly-ish comedies. I know Dodgeball, it's got a few moments where, but I mean, it's relatively family-friendly. I wouldn't say it's gratuitous at all. And then 13 Going on 30, though, it's a fun film. I like Mark Ruffalo. Jennifer Garner's fun in it. I love seeing Judy Greer. She's fantastic in it. She plays a great bitch in the film. But yeah, 13 Going on 30. It's a fun movie. And another comedy from the year 2004, we have Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. I really do think 2004 was a good year for comedies. I need to go back and just do like a refresher of what came out in 2004. But Anchorman, this is a film that I vividly remember my parents walking out of the theater. I didn't go. They went and saw it, and they walked out of the theater and then went and saw something else. And I think it took me a while to see the film because of that, which I highly regret, because 6-year-old me would have loved this film, but with how stupid it is, I would have totally missed a lot of the jokes that would have gone right over my head at the time. But Anchorman is a freaking hilarious film, and probably one of Will Ferrell's more underrated films. Alright, these next two I'm going to combine. We have Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We were just on a little Harry Potter kick, wanted to watch, obviously some Harry Potter. So we watched two of those films, and we'll probably continue the franchise either as the year ends or going into the next year. Maybe we'll just restart it all, because we can watch Harry Potter any time of the year. Next up, I watched Encanto, and this is, again, a really good film. It's really enjoyable. The graphics are really, really awesome, and the life that the house just breathes, and it is a wonderful character on its own, and Encanto's a really good film. It's fun. Who Invited Them is a thriller on Shudder that honestly started out fairly strong, but as it goes on, it just feels like it's dragging a little bit. Probably would have done better in a 30 to 40 minute short film, but I do understand wanting to obviously make a full feature film, and they did. They succeeded technically and visually, and yeah, I think it's overall pretty well acted. I think if anything, it might just have some script issues, but again, it's a fun time. I wouldn't necessarily watch it ever again, but for true horror fans, or just any real crazy horror fan that likes home invasion type stuff, I would probably recommend this film. Next up, I watched 1977's Suspiria, and I gotta say, I absolutely loved it. I was not expecting to enjoy this film the way that I did. This is the first Dario Argento film that I have actually ever seen, and now I can tell you I'm on a kick. I know he released Dark Glasses earlier this year on Shudder as well, and I'm just checking out all of his films. I'm really excited to just go through his whole catalog. But as for Suspiria, it is an awesome film. The graphics in it really do hold up, and I honestly would say I find it more disturbing than the new Suspiria. Next up, I watched Friday the 13th Part 2 and Friday the 13th Part 3, and I gotta say, I do enjoy Part 3 more than I did Part 2, and I do think I enjoyed Friday the 13th Part 1 more than Part 2 as well, even though they're essentially the same film, just one has Jason and one has Pamela Voorhees, and yeah, I don't know. I like most of what I've seen from the Friday the 13th franchise so far. Next up, we watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Jim Carrey's fantastic in this film. It is easily one of his best films, one of his most iconic performances. I love him in Dumb and Dumber. You got freaking Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, When Nature Calls. You got so many roles. You got Eternal Sunshine. But The Grinch is something that I know so many people watch every year. I watch it every year, and it's easily one of the most quotable movies of all time. Going back to Suspiria, I watched the 2018 remake made by Luca Guadagnino, and I gotta say, I was quite let down. I really just it fell flat for me. I thought the performances were good, the visual effects were very well done, like the practicality of it all, the contortionist scene, that, you know, it's really well done, really well made, and the final sequence was gross, but I don't know, it just didn't stick with me. And I like me a goth, and I thought I knew where the story was going, but again, they did change things up quite a bit from the original and made it, I would say, darker, but I still feel like that original film is almost more disturbing. Yeah, 2018 Suspiria. Let me know what you guys thought of that film down in the comments below. I'm actually really curious to hear your thoughts on Suspiria 2018, just because it fell so flat for me, and I expected to love it because of how much hype it's gotten throughout the years. After that, I watched Do Revenge, and this is a fun little Netflix film that, honestly, again, it's just a fun time. I actually know somebody who worked on the film, and so it was cool to watch the film and think about it from that perspective and think, oh, this is what this person might have been doing in this scenario with this and that person, or this and that piece of equipment, whatever it may have been. But I'm just even more curious when watching films now. I'm like, oh, what exactly are they doing for this shot with this specific person or this specific prop? Those questions are starting to pop in my head more, and I love it. I personally think it's engaging and it's a fun learning experience. So Do Revenge was a fun time, and it's on Netflix, so go give it a watch. After that, we rewatched Napoleon Dynamite. Again, this is easily one of my favorite comedies of all time. Let's see, this was released also in 2004. I'm telling you, something about 2004 and its comedies. They were just really good that year, but damn, Napoleon Dynamite is an absolute blast. I really hope they never do a sequel or anything like that, but Napoleon Dynamite, it's awesome. I've got the Liger fur Blu-ray cover for Napoleon Dynamite, and I love it. I love Napoleon Dynamite. That's all I can really say about it, because there's not much to say about that film. It's so simple. Everything just works about it. The comedy, the acting, the timing with the comedy, the clothing style, just the shooting style, everything about Napoleon Dynamite works, in my opinion. Next up is a film that I actually did not finish. I will go back and try to finish it eventually, but wow, this is the remake of Jaws with Orca, 1977, I believe. Yep, 1977, and this was not good. It's got Richard Donner, who I want to say is the original Albus Dumbledore in the first two Harry Potter films, which I, again, watched earlier this month, but Orca is just not good. It is gross, however. There's a baby sequence, and if you've seen the film, you absolutely remember it, because it plops, and then they wash it off. That's all I'm going to say, because this is gross. It's real gross. If you haven't seen it, I guess maybe go check it out if you're a fan of Jaws. I obviously love Jaws, and I hated the film, but I will eventually go back and finish the film, because it is a creature feature, and I enjoy creature features. Alright, we got 3 films left, and then I gotta go get ready for work, but we have Crimes of the Future, which, again, I also did not finish. I rented this film, had to go return it. Yes, I rented a physical copy of a movie. I know that, is not a thing anymore, but there is a store near us that does rental movies, so we decided to rent a couple. I rented Crimes of the Future. We started it. We were 30 minutes in, and we were like, yeah, this is not for me. But maybe there's a chance that if I watch it on my own, I will personally like it. I know my girlfriend, she's definitely not into that stuff, so it was already a big swing when I got her to watch it in general. But it wasn't that entertaining in my opinion. It was visceral visually, but yeah, story-wise, it didn't feel like it was going anywhere. I do still think I want to go revisit the film, but probably not anytime soon. And to finish off the month, I watched Bones and All in theaters by myself. The entire theater was empty, and I gotta say, it was a wild experience. This film, along with Terrifier 2, released earlier this year, also made me gag in theaters. I was 10 minutes of the film where I just wasn't looking at the screen. It's brutal, it's rough, and I would not recommend it to anybody, because this is not a film that you can recommend. If you have any interest in the film, from the trailer, then go watch it. That just period, go watch it. Because the acting is phenomenal. The story is fucking bonkers. But it's, yeah, I don't think I need to purchase the film. It's a film that I would probably never watch again. And this is Luca Guadagnino, who did 2018's Suspiria. And I think that this is a way better film than 2018's Suspiria. That being said, I don't think I need to rewatch it again because of how just heavy the film is. But it's crazy, and I would probably rewatch it if somebody asked me. I would rewatch it just to see their reaction first time, because me seeing it by myself, I didn't hear any other people's reactions. It was just me into the film, which I do gotta say I had a blast. But yeah, this is just one of those films that I could just keep babbling on because it's so much. It's just heavy emotionally, physically, graphically. It's nasty. Moving on, finishing off the month with the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which I have to say was an absolute blast. And if they released this on Blu-ray, I would totally purchase it to go along with, a complete Guardians of the Galaxy collection, but also just to have it as like a holiday thing. I really did have a fun time with the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. It was quick, it was short, it was snappy, it got to the point, and I think this is something that I definitely would consider rewatching every year. That's what I watched for the month of November. Thank you so much for being patient and watching this entire video if you're at this point, but thanks for sticking around. And I will have what I watched December coming out January 1st or the 2nd, just to make sure that I have that done, ready to go, as well as some other crazy video ideas like every single film I watched in the year 2022 ranked, and somewhere close to 100 films at this point. It's like 85, something like that. So yeah, got a lot of films to rank. Top 10 horror films coming, top 5 comedy and action films of the year. I got a lot of cool, fun ideas that I'm excited for, and I do have the month of January almost nearly completely prepped and planned out. So be sure to stick around for 2023. It's going to be a great year, going to get a lot done, and I can't wait to show you guys what I'm going to be doing. Thank you so much for watching this episode of What I Watched. Stay tuned for next month, which is What I Watched December. Thank you. Talk to you later. Peace.